Thank you for listening to the Old English D podcast. New episodes are live every Tuesday, so make sure to subscribe and follow to keep up to date on all the new episodes. And as we always say, go Tigers.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Old English D, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Casey. As always, joined by Josh, my friend, my compatriot. How is your Memorial Day? How was your vacation? Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I did have a good weekend. Didn't do a whole ton. A lot of relaxing. My Memorial Day just got quite a bit better about 2 minutes ago. Found out that our favorite...
what breaking news did you just break to me?
Angel Hernandez is retiring effective tomorrow, but he umpired his last game most recently the 9th of May, which is like 2 weeks ago. So I'm not sure all what's going on there, but that just broke as we were getting ready to start recording.
I feel like they're using the word retire very loosely.
Yeah.
I heard there was a settlement discussion.
Yeah,
I feel like MLB just came to him and they were like, whatever we need to do to make this happen. This is causing a lot of problems.
Well, reportedly he left in the middle of a series that he was umpiring and didn't come back and had to get replaced. So I don't know exactly all what's going on, but there is talk of a financial settlement, and I don't know. If Rob Manfred could get him out of the game, I think he will win a lot of points here for me.
I'm telling you, man, he's already won a lot of points over here at Team Casey. I'm telling you, I'm have no qualms with Rob Manfred, no issues at this current juncture, and if he can get rid of Angel Hernandez, I would call that a win. I'd call that a win.
We all know MLB is not hurting for money, so
that's true. Attendance is also up, so positives all around. But Josh, what I realized?
What's that?
I always ask you how your weekend went. You never ask me how my weekend went.
Well, you lead off the pod. It's not that I'm not interested.
I know, but exactly. Are you do you not care? Do you not do you just only care about how your weekend went? Or no, I'm just calling you out. But I just if you want to ask me how my weekend went.
How did your weekend go, Case? How was it?
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I golfed on Sunday. That was fun. A little outing. We shot a 59, and it was a scramble format. So as you can probably assume, that we were 9 strokes off the pace. So that was fun. I'm just gonna say it. I think there was some cheating going on. And there was the whole rules, the quirky rules that they had going on. The wheel, they called it. So if you used every one of your four-man, if you used every one shot on a hole, you got -1 stroke on the hole. And so I feel like everyone just took advantage of that. There was no limit to how many times you could use that. So it was still a good time. It was a good time. It was good. I did it with some office buddies, so that was a fun time. But that was fun. Nice day off for Memorial Day. Gonna have a lot of work to do here come tomorrow, but that's kind of how it works when you skip a whole day of the week. But no, thank you for asking. I appreciate it. It was a great weekend. Very, very good. Never long enough.
Not even a 3-day weekend.
No. I mean, I could have a 2-week-long weekend, and it still wouldn't be long enough. So just perpetually tired. Just perpetually always ready to be not having to do the things that I'm doing all the time. But that's life. You gotta do things. You gotta do things you don't want to do sometimes. That's fine. It's all right. It's okay. Just like the Tigers. Just like the Tigers. Oh my gosh, dude. What is this baseball team? So last time we recorded, we were in the midst of a 5-game losing streak. We were kind of kicking that off. And there was, I hope, the lowest of lows for all season. And then now we are thank you to the City Connect jerseys in a 3-game winning streak. So just the inconsistency continues with this baseball team. I don't know what to make of any of this. I don't know what to think of the 2024 Tigers, but all I know is we're still clinging on to right around 500 baseball, and still a marginal improvement. Still a marginal improvement. So we're coming in today to 26 and 27 on the off day. Kind of crazy that we didn't play today. Do you agree? Kind of crazy.
You feel like a lot of holidays, people take the day off and you'd have the opportunity to get a nice crowd in.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
definitely a little odd.
I miss the, we decided it's a poppy. We decided it's a poppy as the ceremonial flower for Memorial Day. I miss that those didn't grace the Old English D jerseys. Although it would have been kind of weird though. Would they have had to wear the City Connects if they played today? And like that would have been clashing colors.
I mean, Matt Vierling requested them personally, so who knows?
I heard it was a vote.
Well, the first time, but after during the interview after the home run, I'm not sure if you saw the interview, but Johnny Kane asked Vierling.
Oh, you're saying post.
Yeah, post home run. We'll get into that in a second. But Vierling was asked whether the Tigers would be in the City Connects on Tuesday, and he didn't really confirm, but he said that he would appreciate it. And not an hour later, the Tigers posted on Twitter that they would be rocking the electric blues on Tuesday. So
yeah, he said something to the effect of like, if it's waiting for me in my closet to put on Tuesday, I would not be surprised. I think was the official quote. So maybe it was his decision. Yes, we will get off. We will get onto his walk-off home run. We will talk about some really interesting Alex Lang demotion and conversation. And then also we have some front office moves that were announced throughout this last week. So this is the Old English D. Of course, you can find us on all your social media services at the Old English D Pod. And wherever you listen to podcasts, the Old English D Pod. Let's jump right into it with my few takeaways for the week. Like we alluded to, Matt Vierling is a hero. That game on Sunday, just like the Tigers said, just like they tweeted out, was a movie. I don't think, and like I said, I golfed on Sunday, wasn't really watching live, wasn't really a part of the whole conversation as the game was unfolding. I don't think I would have made it through that game. I don't think I would have been able to personally sit down and emotionally deal with what that game turned out to be. Very fun baseball game. Very exciting. Glad that it was a riot, but the amount of frustration and fury that would have come from me if I was watching that game live, I don't know if I'd be sitting here right now. Did you have the opportunity to watch this Sunday game live?
I did for the most part. I was at church, and obviously this was the Roku game where it started early, so it's in the middle of church. I got out of church and got on the road back, and I hit the game on the radio, and it was 4-0 at that point. I believe it was in the second or the third. So I got to hear the Torque home run, and from then on, I turned the game on at home and everything. But yeah, such a puzzling situation with that game, because you walk in, you have Casey Mize starting against Yusei Kikuchi, and you think, those are two pitchers who have, for the majority of the season so far, had great starts. Kikuchi had a sub-3 ERA before the game. Casey's coming back from Tommy John, but he's looked dynamite so far. He's really not had any issues so far.
Coming off a really tough Kansas City game. Very tough Kansas City game. But.
Right. The loss, not necessarily all his fault, but yeah, you'd think that game is probably going to be a low-scoring game, especially knowing the Tigers' offense. And I don't know whether it was the early morning. The early morning maybe helped the offense, but man, the pitchers were not awake. Kikuchi could not land his secondary stuff and had to throw his fastball over the plate a ton. And Casey could not land his uh, anything anywhere for some reason. And for some reason, he got out of the most of the damage early, and that was, I mean, the writing was on the wall all game. To be
Yeah, didn't he have
honest with
bases
you,
loaded like twice or something
in the first two innings
with like less
they
than
were
two
loaded.
outs? Yeah.
The first inning it was bases loaded. He loaded them up with 2 outs. The second inning it was bases loaded, nobody out. So, and somehow he made his way through both of those innings. I think he was at like 60 some pitches, but um, yeah, he held it together for the most part. I think he gave up 1 or 2 in his outing, and then the bullpen from there promptly gift wrapped the lead back to the Blue Jays. And to be honest, I wasn't really processing it very well either. It was a lot of pacing, a lot of, the whole restless leg syndrome, as it were. But the fact that this offense came up big when the pitching staff had a bad day all around, I don't know if it makes me feel better or worse, because it shows that this team has the capability of hitting and picking up the pitching. And the fact that they don't do that more often, I think is a little frustrating for me, as well as a good sign. Because, I mean, scoring 14 runs in a 9-inning game is a great sign. But we've also been here before, like in the Arizona series, where we scored 13 against them. And then, we've been on this losing streak since then. So, a lot of good signs, a lot of good things from a lot of people. But overall, just a curious game. It's obviously good to win, good to take the series from the Blue Jays, and maybe this will spark the team offensively, and the pitching will be able to get it back together.
Yeah, Toronto's in shambles. They're having a bad time of it. I'm interested in what that sell off is going to look like if it comes to be. But I mean, they have some pretty good pieces, and I hear the Guardians really want Bo Bichette, which would be terrifying. So hopefully, that
I'd
doesn't
like to
happen.
not see him
But,
again for a little bit.
Yeah, and the fact that he swings at the first pitch, like, I don't know, 80% of the time or something, just frustrates the heck out of me, and it works out for him 80% of the time. Also frustrates me, but hey, he knows what he's looking for. Yeah, shout out to Roku for making us download another and open another account, because I mean, maybe a lot of people have Roku and maybe that's how they swung this deal or whatever, but my goodness. I like Peacock was one thing. I kind of like Peacock now. It gets you in the app. I don't find myself ever opening the Roku app ever again. But baseball to more people without blackout restrictions is always a good thing. But I don't really love what they're doing with the whole Sunday leadoff thing. It's just it's a lot. Also, the game didn't end until like 3:00, and it started at 11:30.
Well, that specific issue is not a Roku issue. That was a 14
No, I
to
don't
11
even necessarily know if it
baseball
was an
game.
issue. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it was an issue. I just remember looking at the clock when we were driving back from the golf course. I'm like, oh my gosh, the game just ended. Like this is crazy. But yeah, so I was able to watch the latter half of the game, mostly from I think the 8th inning on. So I saw a lot of the action, of course, but even sitting in the golf cart when I was kind of doing the score updates and the score check-ins, like I was like, this nothing feels safe about this, and I don't know if like watching live it had that feeling too, but it seemed like it was going to be one of those games that, and this is generally just the rule of thumb of the years, the team's hitting. All right, our pitching's going to be bad. And vice versa has also been true where, the team is pitching, we're all of our starters are shoving, and the bullpen's pitching pretty well. Oh, we can't hit a baseball. We don't even know what a baseball looks like. So I don't know why they cannot become more consistent in those couple areas. But yeah, I mean, you go through the game, Javi gets a big double. Ibanez gets a nice single with 2 runners on. We're kind of cooking. Things feel like they're moving along. And then, yeah, Casey gets out of some jams. He had already gotten out of some jams. And then as soon as we start scoring runs, things start going south for Casey. Do want to shout out, he flashed a 99-mile-an-hour fastball at one point.
Yeah, that was,
I hope he
that
doesn't.
was adrenaline induced. He was trying to get out of a jam, I believe.
Yeah.
That's when that was going
Right.
on. So.
It also, I think in StatCast, I think it was like 98.6 or whatever. So it was a little rounding. But I hope he doesn't throw his arm off. That's all. That's all. I hope that his arm doesn't literally fall off at any given point. But I like to see that out of Casey. I think that's good. That's a little bit closer to Auburn numbers. So seems like it's not going to take him, a year and a half to really work his way back from Tommy John. And then we end up 9-6 somehow. I think Joey Wentz came in, Will Vest came in, bullpen just kind of imploded, and then Foley came in the 7th, I think, and just never looked like he could gain any footing, couldn't throw any strikes, he wasn't landing his sinker in the zone, and the writing was kind of on the wall. Now, I did not see a 5-run inning coming from Toronto in the 8th. That I did not see, and that was. I was sitting there. It was post round, golf round, and we were eating some lunch, and I about threw up my lunch after seeing the Dalton Varsho home run go to right field. So that was, I thought, the end of it. But then thankfully some clutch performances from Canna. We get on base, we make some things happen, and then tease up a 9th inning heroism from Matt Vierling, who already had a home run in the game, which I might add was the 4th or the 5th ranked out of strike zone home run. So like a pitch that is like, I think it was a 1.62 feet out of the strike zone. That is the farthest out of the strike zone by like a lot of metrics. I think the farthest this year has been like 1.8 or something feet out of the strike zone. So I don't know how he pulled his hands in enough to get that ball out, but it was another line drive. So that was good to see. And then just demolished a Romano slider. Just demolished it. Didn't even give it a chance. 3-2 count. City Connect jerseys, man. It's not just because we're winning that they're good, but they are good jerseys, dude. Mm-hmm. They're good jerseys. Did we ever see the Old English D again this year? I don't know.
I don't think that it's going to be a permanent change, but it's nice to see. Couple quick notes about your comments on the end there. Foley actually looked better than his stat line indicates. He got a ground ball off the rip that
he did.
That was placed correctly. The only pitch that was bad from him was the sinker to Varsho that he hit out. And, obviously that's going to affect your outing and it makes the outing bad, but it was too good of a pitch to throw on 0-2. It was right over the middle and he missed through it for sure. But I don't think that it was necessarily couldn't land pitches. And
he was not throwing strikes. He was not throwing strikes. I know he shaped up, but right, that at bat, Josh, I understand that, but that whole at bat is not just it's not the perfect analysis of his outing. He was struggling to throw strikes. But I mean, I hear you. Of course the strike that he lands is of course the home run ball. So I mean, throw strikes and give up home runs, or don't throw strikes and walk people. I don't know what's worse.
The other thing is, I told Alex, I believe either the first or the second pitch to Vierling from Romano was a slider, and it was in the zone, and he watched it. I think it was a strike, and I think it made it 1-1. But I told Alex he's gonna sit on that because he's only got 2 pitches, and he's not shown that he can throw the fastball for a strike in this inning. And I told her he's going to sit on one, and he proceeded to swing at some fastballs, foul off some fastballs, and then, lo and behold, slider down the middle. He hits it, not a cheapie either. So that was good. We need to shout out Mason Englert as well, and we'll get into why he's even on this team right now anyway. But the only clean inning of the game for the Tigers with a zero came from Mason Englert. And after his first outing in Kansas City, it was really good to see him actually contribute and have a good inning, especially in the game that we watched on Sunday.
It was surprising that he was, well, it would have been the second scoreless inning because Casey did throw one or two, right? He got out of a couple jams and didn't allow.
I guess the first clean inning out of the bullpen.
The bullpen arm. Right, exactly. But his first outing was less than superb. So interesting that he was able to come in in a very clutch spot and able to contribute. So you actually segued perfectly into one of my next takeaways, which is just the bullpen is back to being the bullpen that we know and love, and by that I mean they are in shambles. We started out the year super good. We started out in a really good spot. We felt like super confident when Foley was holding down the fort in the back end, and other players were able to, or other pitchers were able to kind of meander through some tough outings, or some tough situations, I should say. But now, like the recent struggles of Chafin, Shelby Miller going down and revealing his injury, and now the whole drama that's happening with Alex Lang, it's had to expose some other people. So I think the bullpen's showing its true colors. And unfortunately, now we're having to rely on people like Jason Foley, and when he doesn't, and again, back to the Jason Foley thing, when he doesn't have 98, I don't really love his stuff very much. I mean, he can't really miss bats when he's throwing 95, 96, and so, I mean, obviously his ground ball rate is still super good, but like I talked about at the beginning of the year, like, he needs to at least strike out one an inning to be an effective closer. And, when he can't do that and he doesn't have 98, 99, it exposes him a little bit. Bo Brisky has had to come up, and he's actually put in some valuable innings. Like you mentioned, Mason Englert. There are people who are still contributing and doing well, but I don't feel safe. I don't feel like any lead is safe anymore, and that's kind of just like the mojo of the team at this current moment. But if the starter isn't able to go 6 innings, it's kind of a scary situation. So bullpen's kind of back to being, the bullpen that we are so familiar with and having struggles with. But on a very different baseball game and a very different outlook outcome, I should say, of a baseball game, the Reese Olson victory finally came to pass. So we are 9-10 starts into 2024 for Reese Olson, and he finally gets his first win against the Blue Jays. It was a 1-2 baseball game. Tigers came out on top. It was the second time this year that the Tigers have won a game where they scored 2 or fewer runs in a baseball game. The first one, of course, was opening day. So I have no idea what it is about him being on the mound, but we just do not want to score runs for this kid. Like, he is the best pitcher since the end of August last year in the MLB, has the best ERA in the MLB. Him and Skubal have the best ERA going back to August 28th of last year. And he has, I think both of them combined have less than 10 wins. Like, that is so problematic on so many levels. I know Scott Harris's plan was like this offense was going to be bad and we're going to have good pitching and yada, yada, yada. I believe in the adage of pitching wins World Series and pitching is important in the playoffs. I would really like some better offense in the regular season because I don't know. Like, it just doesn't really seem to carry us to anything. You got to get hits, you've got to score runs, and when we have a pitcher like Reese Olson going out there and trying his hardest to win baseball games night in and night out and start in and start out, it's got to be demoralizing to the kid because it's like, what do I have to do to make this team win a baseball game? Yeah. So finally got the hump off of his back, finally was able to get that off of his shoulders, but they've got to they've got to shape up. But yeah, his stat line real quickly was 6 1/3, 3 hits, only 1 run not earned, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The kid's special. We fleeced the Brewers, by the way. We fleeced the Brewers with the Daniel Norris trade. Thank you, Alavila.
Yeah.
What do you think of Reese Olson and getting his first win?
I thought we were out of it. I thought we had moved past the offensive schneid in Reese Olson's starts when Carey hit that. I think it was a first inning home run, or first or second inning home run for the 2 runs against the.
That's true. It was the only scoring of the game. My goodness.
I was like, oh, they're gonna score runs for him today. Joke's on me. I mean, it ended up being enough, but yeah, the adage of pitching wins championships, and that only counts, I think, when you have an average offense. And this offense in the aggregate right now is close to average in some categories, but we're just not consistent enough to even claim to be average at this point. So it's really frustrating. The kid is pitching his heart out there every outing, and he's, I mean, probably been our borderline our number 2 starter all year. I mean, with Flaherty struggles a little bit early and all of that, but yeah, I don't know. You'd love to see him get some more wins, and everybody's going to claim that the win is a obsolete stat, and it doesn't really matter anymore with how pitching and how teams build pitching staffs now. But the way the Tigers are throwing pitching out there, and they're wanting at least three of their guys that they're running out there every game to go 6+. The stat matters for the Tigers, and we're just not getting it done right now for a lot of the guys.
I would love some more consistent offense. I mean, like, I know everyone in Motown would as well, but it's just, you look at someone like Reese Olson who is trying to carve his way into a good major league career. And yeah, I get it. Wins don't matter. Win-loss record doesn't really matter or whatever. But when you look at his ERA and then you followed up with the 1-5 win-loss record, it speaks so much of how just dreadful this offense has truly been to start out the year, and now in the second month of the year. So maybe this winning streak is a little bit more of a sign of things to come, and better offensive days lie ahead. But the sheer inconsistency of all of these players, and it's up and down. It's not just one single player or one single person who is struggling. It's pretty much all of them. So glad he was able to get his first win. Doesn't really matter to the whole rest of I'm sure his mindset or whatever, but still good that we were able to get one for him, because he deserved it in the worst of ways. What are a few of your takeaways from this last week of very mediocre baseball that we played?
Yeah, I've got a few really abbreviated takes here. First of all, congratulations to Colt Keith on his first home run on Friday. Just really a talking point all this whole last couple weeks of him kind of picking it up a little bit has been he stopped chasing the power, and the Tigers have said that he was kind of chasing power early, trying to maybe prove himself, like we alluded to very early in the season, or a little bit in the preseason. He might look to try to do too much. He was doing that a little bit, and he's kind of got himself out of that, and he's trying to work on just being a better hitter overall, and it's really showed. In the last 10 games, he is hitting .469 in his batting average, with a .656 slugging percentage and an OPS of 1.171. Including that home run, he's got 3 doubles, 15 hits. He has walked twice, struck out 7 times. Just been one of the most consistent hitters in this Tigers lineup the last week and a half. And even if you go back and look at the entire month of May, I think that's really where this started for him. In the month of May, he's hitting 362 still with the OPS of 906. With the home run, he's got 5 doubles, 21 hits in 58 at bats. The home run, 11 RBIs, 4 walks, and 10 strikeouts. So he's putting the ball in play. He's getting a lot of hits. He's really been the harbinger of the consistent part of the lineup for this team, and it's kind of shown up when they needed it. And shout out to the rookies on this Tigers offense, because him and Wenzel Perez have been the real bright spots on the Tigers offense. Excuse me. Anything on Colt Cleeth here lately, Case?
Toe tap king.
Mm-hmm.
Got rid of the big stride. Now he went to more of a toe tap, and look at good things happened. The whole hitting analysis, the hitting in the major leagues is purely timing. I mean, you have guys who are looking to get you out and looking to expose everything that you are trying to do. And people figured out quickly that, he's going to struggle with off speed. He swings at the high fastball. They had him all figured out. And I go back to that. I don't remember what team we were playing, if you remember, called out. But, when he was they showed that camera shot of him demoralized in the dugout, just like trying to look for anything that happened or could make him better. He was going through it. He was going through it for a minute. So, credit to him for sticking to it. Credit to the coaches for kind of finding something that worked for him. I guess a lot of this toe tap was his inspiration, and he did it in the middle of an at-bat at the beginning of the month. And so it's good that an adjustment that he can make and he can identify, he can come out of something like the slump that he was in. Kid's going to be a really good baseball player. I think that much is true. I still would love to see some defensive plays be made that are mostly the double plays. They're not necessarily the most urgent of throws over to Javi, and then Javi's got to kind of make up for it with his arm over to first base, or he doesn't even have a chance to get him. So still some things to work on in the field, but his bat has come alive, and Simo talks about it quite regularly, but he's one of those hitters that can drive to the opposite field that Miggy always talked about. If you can hit to the opposite field, you're a good major league hitter. And so that's why I thought that he was really never gonna struggle. But there you go. You see it, and in his month of April speaks volumes to how hard it is to hit in the major leagues. But glad he was able to come out of it. Glad that he was able to find his timing. And yeah, the toe tap seems to be here for good.
I would like to touch real fast here on the Roku broadcast, just a little more in depth. I didn't hate the Roku broadcast in comparison to the Peacock broadcast, because I don't have Peacock. I don't feel like paying an extra $6 or $8. How much? It might be $5. I can't remember. I just don't feel like paying for another service. And that was really frustrating last year when they were doing this breakfast baseball or whatever the heck they were calling it. And this was kind of a nice kind of upgrade to that in my head, because it's a free service. And yeah, I don't think Roku really intends on people watching it on their phone a ton or not on a TV necessarily. They really want to push their TV app and all of that. But for it to be free, all you have to do is create an account, and you can watch it for free anywhere without the blackout restrictions. That is so big, and that's such a good step forward for baseball. I don't necessarily love the 11:30 start time on a Sunday. As somebody that likes to go to church in the morning, it kind of makes that a little more difficult, to watch the game and pay attention to it. But I do like the free. I do like the blackout restrictions not being there. They nailed it with the broadcast, in my opinion. They could have picked from either Benetti or Dickerson, and I think Dickerson had the time of his life talking to Joe Carter for 3 hours. Joe Carter's kind of a funny character. Most people would probably know him from his walk-off home run for the Jays back in the early 90s. It was a good broadcast altogether. They brought Johnny Kane in to be the sideline guy, which I thought was really cool. They kind of did away with the, let's bring in this national team to every single game and have them do it. No, they brought the local flavor in, have a guy from each team, and the broadcast was very good. I thought the streaming quality was very good. I had no issues on the streaming end of things. And I got to listen on the way home to Jason Benetti on the radio, which was an extra treat. So, what did you think of what you got to see of the Roku broadcast?
Yeah, I only heard snippets. So I didn't really get to have a great analysis of it. I think they just used the MLB .com or MLB network chyrons and graphics and stuff, so that was kind of interesting. I semi-expected a little bit more of an Apple TV Plus kind of flair on it, which, I mean, obviously they kind of went crazy and had their whole uniform graphics out look to the games, but I expected Roku to at least have something going on. But yeah, I didn't see any of the Johnny Kane cut-ins. I'm a little sad that I missed that. Johnny Kane just hasn't been on the broadcast at all recently, and I don't know. I mean, I think they just have a little bit more of a sparse schedule for all of the on-field analysis guys. But I think anytime you can get Dan Dickerson on TV is a win.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only listened to Joe Carter a few times on the Toronto broadcast, but he seemed to. It wasn't like any like kind of crazy fandom happening in the broadcast either, and I think that's because of the two people that they picked to do play-by-play and do color commentating. So I think if it's not gonna be Peacock, it's fine that it's Roku. The reason I liked the Peacock thing is because, one, I had Peacock, so it wasn't that big of a change like you were mentioning. You don't have it, so. But the other reason was just because it was a different home for baseball, right? So and I thought it was going to stay consistent, but now we're having to jump around all these different apps and things. It's like, okay, keep your head on straight. What are we doing here? So yeah, I wasn't able to listen to too much. Do we know when the next game is? Do we know when the next Roku broadcast is?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I don't think the Tigers are scheduled to have one at this point again.
No. I guess I'm just more saying like which other teams are doing it or when they're doing it. I guess I don't know. Is it like a weekly thing at this point now for till the end of the season, or like kind of what Apple TV Plus does, or is it like a monthly thing, or how often do they do Sunday leadoff? I feel like that was weekly.
I do remember it being a weekly thing. Let's see here. Sunday leadoff Roku. A little bit of live research on the podcast for you. Let's see here. So Sunday, May the 19th, they did one. The first one was the last
they already did? Oh, I thought this was the first one. Wow, okay.
Well, the last one, most of them are not at the 11:35 time, by the way.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
I thought
that was like their time slot.
It is weekly.
Okay.
Minnesota at Houston, 1:05 p.m. Giants at Rangers, 1:05. Cardinals at Cubs, 1:05. Diamondbacks at Phillies, 11:35. So
the 11:30 thing is just weird too. Like, think about that for West Coast too. 8:30.
Well, it
for a
truly is
baseball
breakfast
game?
baseball for them.
Right, but like, who's watching it on the West Coast?
They do this same type of thing for college football. So I mean, I don't. Any earlier, I would be upset if I was them. But with most of them, I mean, most of them now are, from this point on, are at least 12 or later. Which 12 I can get behind, because sometimes you have a doubleheader game that starts early on a noon time. But Yeah, no more Tigers on the Sunday leadoff. So who knows? One last thing from this week for me, a little bit of an injury update, not super big. Mostly relating to Shelby Miller, who is scheduled to start a rehab assignment next week potentially. Apparently he went through a procedure to remove scar tissue from his ulnar nerve. Um, which when you hear that in my head, I think, wow, that has to be kind of a big procedure. I know they could probably do it arthroscopically now and it's not like super invasive, but that seems like a big deal. But he had it done a couple weeks or a week or two ago, and he's thrown 2 bullpens since then. So apparently it's a quick recovery time, a very quick recovery time, and he's gonna start in Toledo most likely. So that's kind of good news. I think it's probably going to give the Tigers a little bit of, kind of a pick of the litter on who they want in the bullpen when he comes back. I think it's probably a good little, reminder for the bullpen now is like, if you don't pick it up, there's a guy that's coming back, and there's going to have to be somebody that takes that trip back to Toledo. The other update is Kenta Maeda. That whole situation was a little odd. Tigers didn't really say anything. They scheduled Matt Manning to start Friday, and they kept everything under their hat until I believe day of or night before.
Yeah, it was like that afternoon.
Yeah.
No, it was like that afternoon.
They made the move to send Matt Manning to Toledo and start Kenta and reinstate him from the IL. So, he made his start and he didn't look awful. He seemed to have maybe a touch more command and a little bit more velocity. So maybe this will be the start of him getting back to a little more consistency, hopefully. Any other injury concerns? Any thoughts on the injuries right now for the Tigers?
The whole Kenta situation was just so weird. Like they were definitely playing things close to the vest with it. He had that quote that came out through his translator that he literally said, "I've been asked to not speak about my schedule, please and thank you." It's like what? and at that point, it kind of sounded like he was gonna throw some bullpen innings or something. Like he was gonna get demoted to the bullpen. Like what's happening here? But no, that was not the case. It was actually the fact that they probably didn't want to tip their hand to Manning. It seems like they told Manning after the previous night's game that he was not gonna be making his scheduled start, and then they told the media the day of. So kind of a weird situation. He did pitch fine. He pitched well, so hopefully a better sign of things to come. Shelby Miller has also been kind of a weird situation. I guess I didn't know he actually had a procedure, like anything done. I just knew he was getting different opinions or whatever. So interesting that he's already able to kind of make his way back or whatever. He did not have the great run up to the injury. Obviously, some of that could have been because he was pitching through some pain, but we'll see. We'll see how he comes back. The injury bug hasn't hit us as crazy as it is, or as crazy as it could for some other teams. You look at teams like the Twins, who basically have like half their roster gone or were gone at one point. And so, you just kind of hope and pray that this kind of trend keeps on continuing. Because I think we're one quadruple A player away from being basically a triple A team. So I think hopefully the offense can stay healthy. It seems to be mostly on the pitching side. So we'll see what the next domino drops. But if it's not the injuries that are taking people down and having their effect on people, it is surely throwing and hucking baseballs into the foul nets in Kansas City in Kauffman Stadium.
Yikes.
I'm talking about Alex Lang, of course. I know no one probably wants to retrace steps back to the Kansas City series, but sometimes your losses are as important to evaluate as your wins. And man, getting swept by Kansas City, we had circled that series as something that was an important bounce back opportunity for this team, especially coming off the Diamondback series that looked like we were catching our stride, and we just got hit by the wall of Kansas City. They're a good baseball team, and I've been saying it since the beginning of the year. I did not predict that they would be this good. I don't think really anyone predicted that they would be this good and that they would mesh this well. So,
They shouldn't be
going into
this
Kansas
good.
City, they should not be. You're right. Same thing with the Guardians. Did you know, by the way, real quick, did you know that the Guardians were on a 9-game winning streak before tonight?
Yeah, so were the Royals.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, no idea why the Central is this good. But, hey, there's always 2025. There's always 2025. One of the worst things to come of that Kansas City series, though, was the exchange between AJ Hinch and Alex Lang. And it was probably the most flustered I've ever seen Hinch in a moment. He clearly has had conversations with Lang about something very similar, whether it be attitude, whether it be throwing strikes, whether, whatever it may be. This was clearly a carryover from previous closed door conversations. And, Lang came in, wasn't pitching super deep into the ball game. So I'm sure he was probably, not too pleased about that. I think it was the 7th or the 8th inning. And it was a levered situation. So these were outs that really needed to be made to try to keep the game somewhat close. So we had a chance, and he, proceeds to give up a double and a couple runs, and things were just going super south. Now, I don't know if there's actually any footage of this happening. I don't, maybe you've seen it. I haven't actually seen it, but everyone says that he chucked a couple baseballs into the foul net behind home plate. That really set AJ off. I haven't seen this with my own eyes. This is just what apparently happened. Maybe the Royals broadcast saw it, wanted to take advantage of how poor this Tigers team was and how much shambles we were in. But after he had his moment, AJ comes storming out of the dugout again, as flustered and as angry as I've seen him whenever he's going to argue with an ump, which we haven't really seen too much of this year. And he's stomping up to the mound, and you knew that this was not to replace Lang. This was not to get a new pitcher on the mound. This was to give an earful to Alex Lang, which again, this is the first time I can remember him ever doing anything like this. And he says his mind, says his piece, and does not change pitchers. Lang is like scared kid mode who just got put in timeout, regains his composure and tries to pitch the rest of the inning. I don't even remember if he, got out of the inning or whatever, but what a weird exchange. What a weird exchange out of all of it. It really encapsulated probably what was happening in the midst of that really tough stretch for the Tigers. You could tell that there was a lot of frustration brewing from Hinch. Some of his post-game conversations were not as happy and as chipper as they could be. And the team was really struggling to score runs. And then, obviously you add on the fact of this is a division rival. These are games that we should be competitive in. And, sorry, I used the word competitive. He probably doesn't like that. And, you would hope that the team is able to right the ship a bit, and of course they weren't. And so it seemed like it was all of those things brewing to the surface, and then Alex Lang was just, of course, the person to really set off. And Hinch doesn't strike me as someone who lets past situations or past circumstances really pilot his ship, but I can tell that clearly there's been some prior conversations with Alex Lang that led to that moment. And Lang just couldn't handle himself. He clearly needed an attitude adjustment. But whose team are you on? Are you on Team Lang or Team Hinch on this one?
Well, I mean, I don't know that there necessarily needs to be a team situation. It really just needs to be the team needs to play better. And I think it's probably the team's performance paired with, the specific player's performance as well. Lang was not having the greatest start to the year so far. He had times looked like he could put it together and he could get his control issues figured out. Um, but yeah, I mean, it seems like just another thing that boiled over. We saw this same sort of thing happen last year to our good friend James Karinchak with the Guardians. Guy who has a devastating curveball and lost control of his pitches, couldn't find locations, and got demoted. So who knows? I'm finding it less and less common now as I start to pay attention more that good to elite bullpen arms can only have two pitches. And I know Lang throws a variety of different, he can throw the two seam, he can throw the four seam, whatever. I just don't think the curveball is enough for him, for any pitcher. I mean, you go back to Romano and he's struggling majorly for the Blue Jays, and he's another one of these two pitch pitchers where he's got the fastball and he's got the slider. I think the days of being a two pitch bullpen arm where you could be elite is over because of how much research teams do, how much film they get on you, and how teams prepare now. And I think Lang is just another example of that. And I think he's really feeling it. And especially when you don't have very many pitches, when you can't locate one or you can't locate two of three, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. And I mean, ask Kikuchi and Mize, who have 4+ pitches each, about locating pitches and how well it goes, because it's a struggle. So Lang's got to do something different here soon. I think he's got to figure out, maybe some pitches from when he was a starter or something, because it's not working right now, and I think the frustration really boiled over for him.
Yeah, if you're gonna get both righties and lefties out, you got to be able to land a couple different pitches to both of them. And I think his changeup is still a work in progress. I think it would get better if he threw it more consistently, but he refuses to throw it on a regular basis. He is kind of curveball in love, you could say. And he is also just a complete hothead all of the time. So I think it was good to see Hinch kind of let out some emotion there. Again, I don't think it had anything to do with how the team was performing. It was purely what Lang's performance was and his attitude in the moment. And so I think it was a pivotal time that you could see that Hinch. It's also taking a toll on management too, and they're seeing it, and they don't want to see this type of play either. That's important to show a fan base. That's important to acknowledge that this is unacceptable. This is not how we're gonna play baseball in Detroit, and I'm angry too, and that can go a long way. So Lang did get demoted after the game. They said it had nothing to do with the exchange between Hinch and Lang, but we did find out the following day that he was sent down for inconsistency in the strike zone, quote unquote. I would be surprised if we see him again before the All-Star break. I would be very surprised if I think we're going to see him again this year. I think he has too much good stuff to not be a major league pitcher, but I think some time away for a couple months would serve him well, or it is going to serve him well. So yeah, Mason Engler is the call up. He had a rough first outing. He says he fits in or feels like he fits in a bit better after being the Rule 5 pick last year. Had to stay on the team in order for the organization to keep him. So says he feels a little bit more like he's earned this promotion rather than just had to hang out and be on the team from no performance of his own. And then he promptly gives up 3 earned runs or whatever. It's just funny. But then he did actually pitch very, very well in that Sunday game. So we'll see how long he sticks around. Something tells me that he's probably the move for Shelby Miller when Shelby Miller comes back. But also who knows what could happen between now and then. So we shall see what the shape of the bullpen looks like when Shelby Miller is ready to come back. I will not miss the Alex Lang experiment for now. I think it is best that he goes and figures out how to throw strike one before he tries to throw strike three. So,
Yeah.
in other news, Scott Harris and company, Mike Ilitch Holdings, came out and made some front office moves and promotions throughout in the middle of the week rather. Ryan Garco, who we reference quite a bit for being pretty much the reason the minor leagues and the farm system has taken such a really good turn the last 5 years. Has been promoted to vice president and assistant general manager. So now they have 4 assistant general managers on the team. He, of course, recently before his time with the Tigers was with both Los Angeles teams, the Angels and the Dodgers. So he comes from good pedigree. He, of course, has been, again, not solely responsible for the turnaround of the farm system, but he's definitely played a role into turning a lot of these kids into consistent major league hitters and pitchers. So, well-earned promotion there. Georgia Giblin, she has been with the organization for almost 5 years now, on the baseball performance side of things. So she's also been promoted to vice president baseball performance science. And then we got a newcomer, Andrew Thomas, who most recently was with Sports Media Technology Corp, or SMT, as people in the industry know it as. And he is like the data science guy. He is taking all of the data and mashing it into algorithms that can actually, play a role for players on a day-to-day basis. So apparently he's been like a team consultant for a lot of different teams for the last 8 years. He's had some time in a lot of different sports, I guess, all the way, from baseball all the way to golf. He also had a formal role with with a hockey organization. I forget what city it is, but the Wild.
Minnesota.
Really outing my Minnesota Wild. Really outing my NHL fandom there. And he is also a vice president, joined the organization as a vice president, baseball analytics. So more names to just keep track of. Of course, that adds to the growing list of people in between, the AJ Hinch team and the Scott Harris regime, and employees. So Harris did have a quick quote, but he didn't talk to the media at all about it. But he did say this. Let me just find it here in the article. Quote, creating a culture of development in which players at all levels can grow and improve is one of our foundational goals. The work of Gark, he calls Gark, and it throws me off. The work of Gark and Georgia, along with many others over the past few years, helped make the culture of development a reality. These well-deserved promotions will amplify their voices and helping players throughout our organization get the most out of their abilities. We also welcome Andrew, who comes to us with impressive technical skills, experience teaching at multiple academic institutions, and a terrific reputation within the sports industry. I'm confident he will be a great thought partner and leader for our talented analytics group, end quote. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first Scott Harris quote we have of 2024, but that could be right, at least of the season since the season started. So yeah. Yep. So yeah, good new blood in the organization. We got some promotions that are probably well deserved. Again, I think you cannot understate how well of a job Garco has done in his role. He turned a bottom tier farm system into a top tier farm system, with the help of many other names in there too. So some well-deserved promotions. I don't know if you have any thoughts on any of these or any names that stick out to you, but it's good that we got some good minds on the case. But any thoughts?
No, I mean, Garco and Giblin, I think, are just two people who will be doing the same job and the same work, just in a VP capacity now. Probably just a kind of a almost probably a pay raise involved as well for them for the good work they're doing, which is good. I think it's good to show faith in your people and the people that have stuck around and done a good job. Thomas, I think, is interesting. I think bringing a guy who's been around the league and been around sports in analytics into the organization, I think is probably a net benefit. Um, Georgia Giblin is funny because I remember that vaguely remember that hiring back in 2019 when she came on, because they hired her directly from University of Michigan, because she was there for a little bit, as a something in their kinetic sciences for sports department, which is super interesting to me personally. But she's from Australia. She's Australian, and she's comes with a lot of really good certifications. A lot of people really like what she's being able to do, and I believe she's one of the people that kind of masterminded a lot of the pitching changes that a lot of the pitchers have made, along with Chris Fetter, on the like kinesiology side of things, like how bodies move and how to make and help guys throw better, faster, whatever. So I think that's good. I think it's again just another shout of confidence for these people that have been in the organization for a little bit.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. Prior to joining the Tigers as a postdoctoral fellow through a partnership with the University of Michigan, Giblin completed her PhD in biomechanics and skill acquisition at Victoria University in Melbourne, Australia, and worked 4 years as a biochemist at the Queensland Academy of Sports, supporting the softball, track and field, triathlon, and archery Olympic programs.
Wow.
That comes from the Illich News Hub. So yeah, Australian blood. You know, if we're not gonna have Jack O'Laughlin or O'Laughlin or however we want to say it, we got Georgia Giblin. So, you know, hey, it's the little wins. It's the little wins. We kick off a series tomorrow with the Pirates. Of course, pitching matchups galore is gonna be the conversation as we go into this series with the Pirates. Kind of weird that we just have an off day in the middle of a homestand, but Tuesday we are still home. Kick off the series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. We will be wearing our City Connects until we cannot wear them anymore. I'm assuming the first loss that comes to them will probably be the end of them. But yeah, I wonder like all of the rearranging they have to do in order for the team to wear City Connect, because it's not just the City Connect jerseys. It also comes with, you know, the Bally Sports graphics that come along with it. It comes, I'm sure there's probably some kind of thing with Nike and Fanatics that they have to kind of work out, because they're only supposed to be worn on, you know, Fridays, you know, Friday home games. So I do wonder like how much logistics go into the whole City Connect thing. But, you know, hey, if the team, it's like the rally mantis, gotta keep it in a jar and just bottle it up and just make sure that we can keep the vibes going. So we have Scooble versus Nolan Jones tomorrow. That should be a good matchup. Nolan Jones, of course, started the year, was a big part of that Pirates surge to begin the year. Slowed down a little bit the last couple starts. Some teams have figured him out, as things typically do. Scooble is coming off his worst start of the year, which he only gave up like 3 runs and, you know, still pitched great, but his ERA is now in the 2s. So, you know, we all gasp at that situation. So hopefully he can, quote unquote, right the ship. And then we have, of course, Jack Flaherty versus Paul Skeens. Matinee game on Wednesday. So however you need to watch, whatever you have to do to get in front of a computer screen or a TV screen for that one, that should be required viewing. Paul Skeens, of course, coming off of 6 no-hit innings in his last outing. And he's the real deal. It seems like he seems to be the real deal. So anything you're looking out for in this Pirates series specifically?
Nolan Jones gets a lot of swing and miss. I hope the Tigers can stay patient against him, because I do think he tends to get a little wild at times. I do think that first game is the game we need to win out of the 2, looking at the pitching matchups, because this team and above average fastballs do not mix right now in general on the offensive side. So we need to be able to hit the fastball against Skeens, and it's not going to be easy because he has electric stuff. The first start kind of showed he had some nerves and stuff, but he did bring it around in that second start, and he brought it against I believe it was the Cubs. So
Yeah, he's only pitched against the Cubs. He's only pitched against the Cubs.
so weird.
I mean, hey, that's division rivalry for you. You think we're gonna eke out both wins, or you think we're only gonna get one of them, or what do we think?
We'll get one. We'll split the season series with them because we've already played them once.
And do you think that's gonna be the Schuylkill game or the Flaherty game? I'm assuming it's
The Schuylkill game. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really like the outlook of this series against the pitchers against this offense. Typically, I would take a look at the what's the name of this the stupid website? I can't think of it.
Baseball Savant.
I want to say Stat. Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say I kept on wanting to say Statcast, but I'm like that's not right at all. Baseball Savant. Thank you.
They use Statcast.
Usually, I would look at their pitching matchups that they have, kind of like an outlook and an overview of the OBP and OPS against the various pitchers in the current team. There wouldn't be any stats on any of that because we haven't faced either pitcher. So should be a fun exploratory investigative series for us. But yeah, I think we only take one of the games as well. And I agree with you. I think it's going to be that Schuylkill game. But Jack's looked great. Another pitcher that we just have trouble giving any run support to. So then we kick off a 4-game series in Boston. And another team that I really want to beat. Boston's, they're an average baseball team, much like the Tigers. So we shall see. An important note that the current May record is 9-14. So if we win out the rest of May, that would include the 2 games against Pittsburgh, and then now the 2 first games of the Boston series. We could salvage May. We could eke out with a 13-14 record. I'm not saying that this team really deserves to be on a 7-game winning streak, but crazier things have happened. So, do we salvage May, Josh?
I am like you, not to the extent that you are with the Red Sox. I'm not really a huge fan of them as an organization. The thing about them is we never ever seem to play well in Fenway for whatever reason. A lot of bad memories there as a Tigers fan specifically, but even recently, like last year, we struggled against the entirety of the AL East, and that's not great, but I don't know. A lot of this is just avoiding the question because I don't want to answer it how I think it's actually going to happen. But
do we win again in May, Josh?
Do we win again? Yeah, we win again in May. I think we probably end up splitting this week. I think we probably end up going 3-3.
Okay.
I got dinged last week for my ultra optimistic take that really hurt me.
Yeah, that ended poorly. Yeah. I'm riding the wave. I'm riding the City Connect wave. I think vibes are high. I think we're going to get to 500 and hopefully be able to inch across the 500 mark again. Again, keeping things in perspective, we stick around 500. We have some kind of late charge or, maybe some crazy trade deadline acquisition that just propels us into something, and maybe it could turn into something, but with of course how good the Royals and the Guardians continually be for some odd reason, it's tough to keep your head up. But I'm gonna say we win one of the Pirates games and we win the series in Boston. So 4-2
for anybody that's counting right now on the whole AL East thing. We are currently 5-5 against the AL East this year. So that's
market improvement.
I think we won a total of 5 games against the AL East last year. So I would say so.
Last year. Yeah. That sounds about right. Well, hey, I guess there's still time for it to go south. Where can the kids find us, Josh?
We are on the socials at Old English D Pod. Give us a follow. try to stay up on there, try to let you guys know when the podcast drop. We drop these every Tuesday morning for the most part, unless something else pops up, but we try to stay pretty consistent with that. So we appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate the support. I know it gets hard to listen to us be sad about the Tigers, who aren't great. So everybody that listens on a weekly basis, even when the team is bad, we appreciate you guys.
I like to think that they feed off of our depression. They just
make
laugh
their
at us.
Depression worse, or
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope that other teams don't care about this baseball, or I hope that other people don't care about this baseball team as much as we do. But there's definitely people that care even more. So I hope they're doing well. I hope they're doing okay. Josh, thank you so much for joining me. As always, guys, thank you so much for listening. And as always, go Tigers.